Are you looking to buy or sell real estate? You've got questions, we've got answers. Welcome to the show, It's Gonna Be Great, featuring Matt and Jen from Home Team for You. And now, without further ado, it's Matt and
Jen! All right, well, we're excited to have everyone join us. We have an exciting show today where we'll introduce you to our special guest shortly here. First, let's go ahead and meet our in-studio team members. Jake Newhouse, how's it going?
Great.
Let him back in.
Yeah?
Yep, they didn't kick me out forever. I'm back. Found my way back in.
What's going on?
Boy, spring is here this week.
Spring is sprung.
Next week it'll be winter again.
Welcome to Wisconsin, y'all.
But we're enjoying the weather. It's definitely bringing out buyers and sellers in the market. So lots of really good activity out there right now.
All right. Yep, we like it. What about you, Luke Dupre?
Oh, I'm fantastic.
Freshly recovered from surgery.
Yes, freshly recovered, feeling great. Thanks for having me again. I don't know what I did to earn a spot back on the podcast.
It's
Dolly Parton.
Don't drop the mic.
It was Dolly Parton.
Stop futzing with the mic.
Well, I'm trying to fix it so I don't break it again. But yeah, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, our special out-of-studio guest, Natalie, who is our Boomtown coach. There she is.
Hello.
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 So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I told you I had to start from grade school, but I was just kidding about that.
Yeah.
You'd start from high school.
I'm not sorry for if I even remember my life, I have a short memory. But I am originally from Wisconsin. So I'm actually from Luxembourg. That's where I went to high school. But if I lived on the other side of the street, I really would have went to a Green Bay school district. So I often just say I'm from Green Bay.
How close were you to the stadium?
About 25 minutes. I actually worked at the stadium too.
What'd you do?
I worked at Curly's Pub
for
a year.
Nice.
I paid for my first year in college with cash from
Nice.
that.
Well, that couldn't have been too long ago then, because Curly's isn't that new, is it? I mean, within 10, 15 years probably. Or more.
Yeah, it was probably 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actually, that's a long time ago already.
It doesn't seem like it's been that long.
Matt's here to make you feel really, really young.
Like Curly's doesn't seem like it's been around that long. Yeah, 15 years.
So for whatever reason, I'm really wanting to know what is like your high school mascot at Luxembourg?
It's a Spartan.
A Spartan.
They all are. There's like 10,000 Spartan mascots.
10,000 Spartan mascots. Okay. Not sure why I needed
So how
to
big
know
was the
that.
school? Now that we're on high school.
The graduating class, I want to say, was about 200 people.
That's not too bad.
Maybe, let me think about this. Maybe less than, no, it's probably about 200. Does that sound about right?
I don't know. Mine was 85, so I can't talk about that. What was yours, Luke? Some Prairies.
Cardinal.
I know it's Cardinal. What was the graduating class?
Oh, the size.
And back.
Sorry.
Thanks.
Luke's not paying attention
No.
at all.
I was about, I want to say around 500 to 600 kids. So it was decent. I saw kids walking across the graduation stage I had never seen before. So,
Wow.
yeah, big school.
Yours wasn't too small either, was it?
No, I was 670. My brother was 750.
Wow.
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 Well, yours
That's a
was, you went, what was
Big.
La Follett's? What was their graduating class?
I think there was probably about 400.
400.
I'm glad we weren't the only one who used that nickname.
Well, we called ourselves
Oh,
that
wow,
too.
yeah, nice.
But you own it. Like,
You don't really have a choice.
no, you just own it. You're Lancer.
Okay,
No Spartans here.
Natalie.
Natalie's still there?
Breaker, calling Natalie.
At this point, our entire podcast is going to be Natalie's high school
All right, no,
career.
we're getting out of high school now. So now once you graduate from high school, which direction did you go? Once you left Wisconsin, let's just start there.
I left Wisconsin around the age of 19 and moved to Florida.
Good choice.
Yes.
It's warmer.
So then, since then, I pretty much lived in 6 or 7 states.
Wow. On purpose?
Yeah. I tried to move back, but it didn't work out. It just didn't work out for me, so I decided to move again.
So now you were in Atlanta?
Yes, I am in Atlanta. And I got here I want to say right before the pandemic hit. But I do live within the city of Atlanta. Yeah.
So how did you kind of get into the real estate world to be able to understand all of the Boomtown kind of stuff?
I got into real estate actually in Green Bay when I tried to move back. And that was in 2010, I want to say. 2010, maybe 2009. And at that point, the market was very different where you had to have 10 listings to sell a house. So I really started to get into, at the time, I didn't realize I was really focusing on calling expireds and those type of activities. I think I was too new to recognize what I was doing almost. But at that point, we ended up actually, because to find a buyer for a home was quite challenging back then, we ended up doing executive rentals, and I actually ended up renting a house out to TJ Lang.
Nice. Did you get an autograph on your contract somewhere?
No, kept it professional.
But you have an autograph somewhere on a contract, right?
Oh, I'm sure somewhere. I don't have that
framed
anymore, but yeah, you're right.
She's like, it's in my safe. Stop talking.
But then how I got involved with Boomtown was years later. And I basically started working as a Boomtown coach in 2018, I think it was. I didn't really think of my dates here before this podcast, but I'm pretty sure it was 2018. Time flies. Maybe it was 2017. But I had successfully worked with a couple teams prior to that and got their lead conversion. And back then it was really only a lot of like the internet leads, or the way the customer found the website per se was through Google. And so I worked really hard with the agents and myself to service those people to the best of our ability, and we ended up creating a great customer experience through Boomtown and converting a lot of those leads into basically clients.
So backing up, we probably should talk about what actually is Boomtown.
What is Boomtown?
We forgot that.
Forgot that part.
So Boomtown is basically CRM.
What's
so
CRM?
A customer relationship management tool that almost everybody that's in business pretty much has some sort of CRM in it with today's age. And so it's a tool that the agent uses to help communicate and stay on top of following up with their clients and their customers, so nobody is left behind, right? And then on the same token, the Boomtown system actually is an IDX feed that updates every 15 minutes from the MLS. So when you're shopping on a Boomtown website, you can guarantee that the data that you see there is actually accurate, unlike other websites like Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin. So when you're shopping on the site, you can 100% guarantee that at least that home is still available.
So no question I'm going to ask you now.
What?
What's an IDX?
So an IDX is, and maybe you guys have a better way of explaining this, but an IDX is basically a feed from the multiple listing service, right? Yep. So it has all the homes for sale that any agent puts in that is actually for sale.
Yep.
Is that a good way to?
Yeah, sounds good.
To describe that?
Sounds about right.
I've never had to describe that before.
So I have a question for you, Natalie.
Uh-oh.
Sure.
In our market here in South Central Wisconsin, we obviously understand and can see the trends that we're working around as far as the market goes. I'm sure you work with a number of different markets across the country. What
Yeah.
do you kind of see across the country? Is it similar regardless of where you are? Is it drastically different? What do you see on your end?
As far as what's happening in today's market, it's pretty much the same everywhere, except I do have I actually have a client in downtown Chicago where the inventory is a little bit more balanced. But if you think about that, that's a lot of condos. And I don't have anybody in New York City, but I have heard New York City itself, not like Brooklyn or the other parts of the city, is also kind of in the same, where the inventory is a little bit more balanced than we're seeing pretty much everywhere else.
Do you think that's reflective of everybody wanting to get out of the city?
Yes, hands down. But they actually expect in Chicago that their market, once summer hits and the vaccine is more out, that their market's going to pick back up.
Yeah, get it.
So Natalie, going back to Boomtown, I'm curious what makes Boomtown different from other CRM systems that are used in the real estate industry for both the consumer and I guess the agent?
So from the consumer standpoint, I would say again definitely the data and how quickly it feeds. So that's really important, especially in today's market because homes are flying off the shelf. They also have an app, and other CRMs don't have an app. So basically the consumer has an easier search experience through the app. And also Boomtown works a lot on the consumer experience, meaning how the properties are displayed so that it is user friendly. And they study, I guess, I don't even know the correct term for this, but they basically study the interface and how people react with the site. So it is friendly and people enjoy shopping on it, pretty much.
So what is that app called for all of our people watching? How can they get it?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What was the app called?
Home Search Now app. Yes. So the app is called Home Search Now, and you guys ideally would probably want to go to your website, which is
hometeamforyou.com.
hometeamforyou, right? .com.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, and register. And then once you register, you should also see, and if you start looking at properties on the website, you should actually see like a drop down, kind of where you'd see like a Dick's Sports or whatever that says prompts you to download the app once you sign up. So you can also download the app at the same time that you're signing on to the site. But it is a very accurate resource to see what all homes that are for sale in the Madison metro area. Is that how you guys call it?
Yeah, South Central Wisconsin.
Okay, yeah, that area.
It's kind of like Green Bay, but bigger.
Right.
All right, so
Yes.
one of the questions that I had for you, I don't want you to answer, but I wanted everyone at the table to guess
Oh boy.
the piece of advice that you say the most to the folks that you're coaching. So think about what your answer is, and we'll go around and give you our guess.
Okay.
So,
This should be fun.
All right, Luke,
So
what's
this
your
is like
guess?
a game, right?
Uh-huh.
Are we
I'm
scoring
going to
this?
take an educated guess because I'm thinking back to the one-on-one session that me and Natalie had this summer. And I think she really emphasized, I want to say segment your lead when you're in there. So that's my guess.
What are we guessing?
You're guessing the advice that she says the most.
Oh, I know this one. You want to go first, Jake?
Sure. My guess is going to be to always set your next follow-up. So you follow up, whether it's call, text, email, whatever it is, and before you move on to your next task, you're setting another to-do so you're not missing that next touch.
Matthew?
I'm going to kind of piggyback on his. I'm going to say alerts. So listing notifications.
Yeah, I have an unfair advantage because I'm on almost every call. So I know that a lot of times you're telling people that calling is still more effective than texting, and that they need to pick up the phone and make their calls.
Cheater.
All right, who do you guys think nailed it?
Well, she did because she cheats.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
don't know
get it right.
I don't know if that was a fair.
The only way she wins. I think there was a call before this started. What's the question going to be? I'll give you the
Jen
answer.
wins.
Yeah.
You guys, it's a relationship to relationship business, and believe it or not, the consumer wants to talk to you. They still want to talk to you.
Jacob behind the screen shaking his head.
I just want to email them. Just leave me on my computer. I don't want to talk.
What about texting? Would you rather have texting versus emailing? This is for Jacob.
So this is really true. So 30 to 50% is actually from an engagement standpoint is calling. Okay, 30 to 50%.
Is that after the first contact though, or is that first contact? Or does that change?
Well,
30 is less than half, everybody.
actually, in the first 2 weeks, if you're calling somebody, really it's going to be more like 60 to 70% if you're calling and texting. I don't really know how to break that down because I only see data at a very high level. But from just calling in your database, each platform is pretty much in a 4-week period, month over month. They're at an engagement of 30 to 50% for calling. Texting is typically 20 to 30%-ish. Emailing is, guess.
10%?
5%?
3 to 5%.
You got the answers ahead of time.
I did not get the answers ahead
I
of
see
time.
them written down on her.
But I
That's what all the
have
scribbling is right
been
here.
on calls with her for a long time, like every week. So I'm not a cheater.
Calling is important, pretty important.
See, I don't pick up my phone if I don't recognize a number if they're not in my phone. What about you, Jacob?
Well, yeah, but if they leave a message and I know who it is and I actually want to buy a house, yeah, I'll probably pick up the phone and talk. That's a pretty big deal. But normally, yeah, I'm not.
Or would
one
you
that-
text back? I
don't-
find myself, like if I get a voicemail, I sometimes tend to text back.
I don't text back
You
from
call
a
them back?
voice because I don't know if they have a landline or like what kind of phone they have. Usually, if it's like a business, they're not calling from a cell phone, or I wouldn't assume as much.
I just saw a meme and it was a realtor if they pick up their phone and it's either a referral or somebody calling about a car warranty.
Or house warranty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or selling ADT.
Really, I don't get those. I get
actually
the
a
truck.
popular one.
Yeah, I've been getting that one lately.
They call me and offer me a warranty, and I told them how many miles were on my truck, and they hung up on me.
How many miles are on your truck, Matt?
244,020 just turned over.
That's crazy.
You get those calls like twice a day too?
Probably once a week.
Okay. I get them all the time. I don't know. My number got on some call list and it's
Sorry
been
about that.
spreading around.
I might have done that to you.
It's okay.
Don't call me, call Luke.
I got like
Here's his
25
number.
numbers blocked, but they all leave the same voicemail. So
All right, so kind of getting back to real estate stuff, when you're doing coaching and you're talking to people, what do you see that people need to do to flip the script to, be successful?
That was a pretty good question that you asked because I assume I would have to limit it. And what I would say, realistically, ask for the appointment. Because believe it or not, the appointment is how you really can get face to face with somebody, or maybe Zoom to Zoom these days, right? But what you as the agent really know inside about the market, the client really doesn't, and they want that information. So if you don't provide that information to them, they're going to spend a lot of time Googling it. but people really want information these days. And so just asking for the appointment, I think, can go a long way. And then what information will you provide that person on this appointment that makes it so valuable to them? And it is a very valuable appointment, especially, again, in today's market, because if you've ever shopped for a home without being an agent, and this may be hard, but I had to do that when I relocated to Atlanta. And I did find my home on a Boomtown website. I would have missed out on that home by the way, I would have missed out on the home I'm in today if I wasn't on a Boomtown site.
So the question then becomes, how is a Boomtown website, for example, hometeamforyou.com, shameless plug, versus Zillow or realtor.com? What is the difference?
So from my personal experience, and I'm glad I can actually speak to this, is from a price reduction standpoint, realtor.com is delayed by 24 to 48 hours, actually, from a price reduction standpoint. Their new listings sometimes don't have the actual photos. So if you're hunting for a home or you're in a time crunch, in my case, I had a day to pick out a home.
Wow.
And then I guess in the market that we're in, almost it feels that way, kind of like you have a day to see the home, but if the home doesn't have the photos loaded, then you're like, well, I'm going to move on to the next home type of situation. So that's kind of the difference on realtor.com. And Zillow actually has pretty delayed data. I know things change with them over time, but in 2019, when I was shopping, the data was still delayed, and I knew by shopping on a Boomtown site, I knew that what I saw was real, right? So it wasn't under contract or wasn't sold. It was really available. And the day I flew out, or the night I flew out that morning, the home that I'm in today actually came on the market. And out of all the 10, 11 homes that I had to choose from, this home was the only home that I wanted.
Wow.
So if I was shopping on a different website, I probably wouldn't have saw this home, and who knows where I would have ended up.
I think she made a really good point about setting the appointment, because I do think fewer and fewer people are answering their phones right now because they're getting the car warranty. You can text back and forth, but your personality and your professionalism really don't shine through. So it's amazing to see.
Send a picture of your face.
Well, that's what I try to not let them see, and I just surprise them when I meet them for the first time. But it is amazing when you do meet them and you start talking face to face, and you can put a face to the name and a face to the voice, how you can, in the matter of minutes, kind of see that brick wall that they've built slowly start to crumble, and it makes that next follow-up conversation even that much easier too. So
I think it's
Natalie
important,
said,
the initial contact. But I think once you get past that, maybe the texting and calling is a little bit easier too. So I believe Zillow is going to be joining most of the MLSs. I'm not sure if they have in Atlanta yet.
Yeah, they were going to get an IDX feed.
So there's supposed to be an IDX feed, which should speed up the information. I'm not really sure why Realtor.com has not gone that route yet.
I think because they have to join all of the boards.
Yeah, but as part of the National
You'd think
Association of
that-
Realtors,
You'd think that they'd be
that'd be
easy.
done years ago.
Yeah, Atlanta, I'm sure, definitely has it, because Zillow has heavy presence here, but not when I
Right.
moved here, when
Yeah.
I had to relocate, and I relocated from Colorado to here within a very short notice. So, yeah, I'm sure I know they're changing, that that data feed might be speeding up now.
Hey, Natalie, what's your favorite part about working as a Boomtown coach? I'm just curious.
Talking to you, Luke.
Oh, thank you. Second favorite
She
part.
does like talking to
Second-
Luke because
second
Luke
favorite
learned
part.
really quick.
Jake's on the bottom. Wrong.
That's just my OCD, always wanting to keep it
Your
clean.
OCD
so.
is just you want to have results. You want to know what she says.
All right, we'll let you answer.
My favorite part, I think, would be honestly working with so many different teams from different parts of the Well, I even have a client in Canada, so I would say country. But I'm learning a lot from the person in Canada too.
Do they say
how their
A a lot?
market is.
Hey,
Eh.
They actually do.
So I should call him, eh?
hey.
Or text, eh?
Yeah.
Set appointment, eh? Do you respond with A?
No.
Just add it to at the end
Yeah,
of every
every
sentence,
sentence.
with a question mark. Yeah.
But I thought people in Wisconsin say that too.
No, we don't.
We say "op."
No.
Ope. You should know about Ope.
No, I don't.
Ope, sorry. Oops, excuse me.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Oh, hit a car.
That is so true. Oh.
Yep, Ope.
Yeah, you don't think about it when you just say "oh," but then when you put it in context, you're like, "Oh."
Oh, excuse me.
Um,
Oh, we should send you a link to Charlie. What's his name? Charlie Barons. He's a Green Bay guy.
Yes. Is he from Green Bay?
I think that area anyway.
He's up north.
Up north.
Matt watches him on TikTok.
Oh, is
He
Oh, that
cracks
guy.
me up.
he's fun because
Yeah.
he was on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
We would watch him all the time. Me and my family.
He has a whole episode
spot
on Hope.
Spot on. All of his impersonations.
Yeah. It
So-
is.
Natalie, it sounds like there's definitely advantages to using the Boomtown app versus some of the other national sites out there. So you guys are kind of on the forefront, and sounds like you're continuing to kind of push the envelope in the CRM world. What anything new that you can kind of tease everybody with when it comes to new features? Anything you guys are kind of working on your end?
I really can't speak to that, to be honest, because Boomtown keeps everything very tight-lipped. So,
Okay, we'll just pretend I didn't ask that question.
Good question, Jake.
Jacob will edit that out.
Actually,
And-
I can answer the question for you, for everybody.
Oh, boy.
Because as of like yesterday, Boomtown
yesterday.
just launched a new update. So it's old news to Natalie, but it's news to me as someone that's building the site all the time. There's now a bunch of new features where you can build really customized landing pages. So our site is about to get super niche and way more specific. So it's gonna be super useful for the agents because we'll be able to build all kinds of different data sources and be like, as I'm doing right now. Like the other day, we built a thing for lakes. Like now you have a page, you can go to the guide section and you can check out like every lake in the county and every property that's happening. So
That's pretty cool.
yeah,
It's awesome.
so there you go.
So when can we expect all of that information on the site? Because that sounds exciting.
What do you think, Jacob?
It's actually the lake stuff is up now.
Some Prairie, I think, is
It
up too,
is?
isn't it?
Okay.
I'll pull it up right now on the podcast because I'm super proud of it.
I don't think
Yeah.
you can.
Who asked the question anyway?
Can
Why
he,
would-
she see it too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, she can't.
So
Sorry,
You take a
I-
picture back
I
there.
can't share my screen with Natalie.
But you
She
can
you can actually look
see
it up on
our
our site.
stuff. Yeah.
It's hometeamforyou.com.
Then I'm gonna look at it.
Yeah, if
I'm
you-
gonna look at it.
if
Okay.
Just go to
Yeah.
hometeamforyou.com.
foryou.com.
Number 4 letter
Because
u.com.
Jacob was remembering when he talked to you when he first started, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to tell her that I'm working on that."
All right, let me get my life
Geeked out
in
about
order.
this as much as Bitcoin.
Not.
Natalie,
maybe
I don't
not.
know. I don't know if you
Much.
caught it, but it's hometeam, the number 4 letter u.com.
Yeah. I got it.
Okay.
Sorry, what was that, Jake?
So on our
HOMETEAM, number 4 letter u.com.
on our webpage
look at
right
that.
now, we
That's
have
awesome.
a page where it pops up every. I mean, it's supposed to be every lake, but I went way too specific. It's basically every puddle.
I was going to say
in
Marshall
Dane
Mill Pond.
County. It's like if you want water next to your house, there's a page now that will pop up, and it's all sorted by the name of the lake and or puddle.
I can't believe Marshall actually has a name for the mill pond, and that's how it came up.
Well,
You.
I actually named it, but I mean, I didn't create the name. I looked it up. I had to type all
It's
this
legit.
stuff up manually, but yeah, it's pretty cool. So like right now, there's only a handful, but there's actually, oh man, dozens dozens and dozens of lakes and ponds on this webpage, but they only pop up listings if there's actually a house for sale at that property. So you won't be scrolling through a bunch of dead space.
Some Predator one turned out pretty good too. That talked about a little bit about the city too, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. We just want to check out all these what I've been working on outside of this podcast. We'll go to some prairie.
So actually, let's talk about that because I think
are
your
we gonna do a live
listeners
critique?
would love to hear about how to find this exactly.
She's just
on your
rip you
site.
apart now.
Yeah, she's like, let's talk about why this.
Make sure that Jacob,
No,
this
she
is
says,
recording, right?
how can the consumers find this on your site?
Yes. Okay. She's being nice. I appreciate it.
Yeah, because I think this is really great information, and I kind of had to like go search for it all the way on the bottom.
That's true, and we should find an easier way to get it. Right now, the easiest way to find it is you just scroll to the bottom of the site, and there's this area for guides, and there's a couple already preloaded. But if you hit on more guides, you'll see a lot of the communities that Home Team for You caters to, services. So, got East Side of Madison, West Side of Madison. We got different neighborhoods like Grandview Commons and Maple Bluff and Shorewood Hills. And Matt wanted to see some prairie.
I think just the idea of what this looks like, though, is
Oh, here's
pretty
another
cool.
one. Here's another fun one. If you just want like house porn, you go to luxury homes here.
So
And you-
that should be the title.
Yeah, I'll rename it, but you can just scroll through and
Actually, that would be so funny.
you just scroll through you just look at all the super nice homes in South Central Wisconsin, starting at $750 and going up to $2 million plus.
Wasn't it a $3-point-some million house?
3.5 on Mendota, yeah.
Yep,
That's probably under the lake category. Or that's it right there.
there it is. Price reduced.
Price reduced to
Oh.
3.35.
Definitely.
Now we're in the wheelhouse, baby.
That's a great house.
That is a
I
nice
looked at
house.
the inside pictures of that
One
one.
car garage for the boat.
Well,
Oh,
then.
that's funny.
All right. Well, I don't know if we're supposed to be advertising other people's properties on our podcast, but yeah.
So where else should he put that, Natalie? What's a good idea? Where would you like to see it?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I think under resources, I would put it under resources. I would create a separate landing page that kind of directs people to
the guides.
the guides.
Awesome. Yeah. Will do. We are definitely building up our Home Team for You website right now and like putting a lot of effort into making it the most robust real estate website in South Central Wisconsin.
Could we spend a couple minutes ripping on Jacob for a little bit more? Can you critique with any more stuff?
Now
You know
can't.
what else I see that is great?
Oh,
Great.
oh,
She
yeah,
said
yeah.
great.
Oh,
I was gonna say all the bad stuff is here before I start working here. So
I like how you have open houses.
Openhome4u.com.
Yeah.
Uploaded or updated every Thursday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
That is such a great resource.
That was me.
So you guys should advertise on your
That-
podcast. Every week.
Yes.
that is a Matt thing.
That
What
is a me thing.
That's what
Okay.
you're doing?
Take that, marketing guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
what else you could do is, are you allowed to do coming soons in your market?
Yes.
Or what's the standard?
yes, there are very tight rules with them, but yes, as long as all of the rules are followed.
Yeah,
I
if all
think
the
the
rules
issue
are
with that-
followed, you could start marketing some of the coming soons.
The issue with that would be it would have to be a manually entered information, correct? Because it's not
Yeah,
technically on the
with the new update of Boomtown.
Yeah.
You
Oh.
can do that
Yeah.
now. Landing pages for that.
Nice.
I was looking into that, yeah, because the old one, we used to use the blog feature for the coming soons.
Right.
The problem
Right.
was keeping it up to date because it's like after a couple of days, it was no longer coming soon.
Right.
Then you got to go back to the blog and you got to update it.
Right.
And making sure all of that was up to date was like a little unrealistic.
So how does that change now? How are you going to? Is it more automated? Like, can you do
Can-
something to?
So can you guys, it's not necessarily more automated. How can you market a coming soon is the question legally in the state.
We just have to have it in a delayed status within a day on our MLS to
So-
be able to market it.
That I guess would be the automatic link if we could access the delayed.
Yeah,
from
then it
Boomtown.
would have a delayed link from the MLS. I don't know if the
I don't know if we
delayed
can
link
see.
has any access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have 24 hours to market it essentially, and that's it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
But it can be in delayed for up to 45 days if the people are still getting ready or whatever.
okay.
So the issue would just be being able to access the delayed status through Boomtown. I'm not sure that you can do that, can you?
No, it would still have to be somewhat of a manual.
That's your homework, Natalie.
Yeah. Well, so some people, that's interesting that you guys don't have that, because some websites or MLS feeds do allow coming soons to feed to Boomtown.
Jacob, homework.
Do you have any pull in the MLS?
Yeah, they love us.
For viewers, can you explain a little bit about the MLS without I don't know, giving up?
Multiple listing service.
Yeah, but like, go into more detail about it. Most people maybe they might not even heard what it is.
So
I
most-
think you guys take for granted it, like you talk about it so frequently.
Yeah, there's a lot of
That's
acronyms.
true.
So the MLS is just how the start company and actually most real estate brokers share information between the brokerages. It used to be a big book, like a
It's an agreed upon way that
Sharing of
all of
information.
the brokers are going to. I mean, it's like putting rules, so it's not the wild, wild west of real estate anymore. There's rules, and we have to follow them.
And it's all agent facing. So when we talk about MLS, it's not really a term that a consumer would need to know. And that's where that Boomtown website and app comes into play, because then what our consumers are seeing is the consumer facing side of what our MLS is through our website, if that makes sense.
And all homes for sale are entered into the MLS for the most part, unless it's, well, even some cases, but unless it's most likely for sale by owner, those might not be in the MLS.
which we're going to talk about later.
Teasing.
Did you say the MLS used to be a book?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a physical book?
We have
So start
one
com-
from
zoom in, yeah.
1978.
It's
So
a
you
book
would-
about this thick, and it was all the active listings because listings weren't turning over as fast. So if you wanted to get a listing, you'd make a photocopy of the MLS sheet and fax it to your client.
That's what I was about
Or
to
mail
ask.
it.
So you go get a listing and you go
Yep.
write it down in the book, or you
Goes
make
in
a
the book.
photocopy. Makes sense. That's
It's actually a printed book. It's bound on the edge and everything.
Yeah, so Luke was not born
Luke was
in
not born.
1978. So
Say, Luke, we used to have
in the
telephones
day.
that had cords on them, and they actually were stuck to the wall.
well. What happens when you want to walk away from the phone?
Better hope that thing's got a long cord on it.
yeah.
Goodness gracious, we're just spoiled these days.
Yeah.
MLS is online, cell phones, everything.
For real. But I mean, that was a huge change in the industry because the realtors had the MLS book. And so they had all of the information. And then when the information started to be more public where people could get it, a lot of realtors freaked out because that's how they got their business. So
Buyers had to come to them.
the buyers had to come to them. So then realtors had to, become better at what they do to attract the clients. So,
Did we have keys back then or lock boxes? I think we had lock boxes.
we had separate Supra, like
Yeah.
they weren't on your phone. They were like these big clunky things that you would like have to every day put them on this little cord, or you'd call
Charge it.
in and update them, and then you could get into a house. But I mean, I remember showing houses with Raj, and he used to have this one fat little key, and it went in this box that went over the door, and every realtor had the same fat little key, and that's how they got into the houses. Or if they didn't do that, you had to go to the other real estate office and pick up the keys, and then you
Pick
had
up
to
the keys.
then you had to
I
take
still
them
remember
back.
They still have that in central Wisconsin where you have to go to the listing agent's office and get the key.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Buddy's office.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, up in
Yeah, that place.
Adams County. Yep.
So what is the craziest transaction or thing you've experienced in real estate that stuck with you? Please be something from Green Bay.
I would say, I don't know. So there's two things that come to mind. One is seeing a home that I guess got abandoned back in 2010-ish, probably. And the whole basement had flooded, and it was an ice rink.
Nice.
Bring your skates.
Indoor
this could be
skating.
some seriously fun marketing.
Yeah, and that was kind of crazy and kind of sad to see.
Where was
at the
that?
same time. That was Green Bay. Well, De Pere, I guess.
De Pere. It's like Depre. Depre.
No relation.
Try again.
Depre.
Yeah.
Depre.
Yep. Just pretend the P is not capitalized. That's what I tell everyone.
Depre. De Pere. Depre.
And then the other one was when I was living in Northern Virginia, a house that we had listed had a safe house underneath it.
Cool. Wow. Like a locked on it, like a combo or some kind of lock?
No, like
What's it?
Like a doomsday preppers, post-apocalyptic.
Or was it
bunker.
like if you're being attacked, you could lock yourself in?
I mean, you weren't. So the
Bootleg.
house actually, I had moved, and the house was still being listed by a colleague, and yeah, I don't think it sold for a couple of years. And it was a very weird looking house, and it was in an area that you just would never expect. I mean, you would never expect a safe house to be, but we weren't allowed to disclose it to the buyers.
What? They had to
after
find it
they
on
were
their
under
own?
contract.
Oh.
I don't know. It was weird.
So was it like a-
Governmental. It was a governmental thing.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah. And part of me thinks it was kind of like a cover up. Like the home was just for sale, but people would actually just go to it.
So you didn't disclose the seller's name?
Well, we knew the seller's name, but they had moved out. I mean,
That's
the
nuts.
house that I had moved, and the house was still for sale like a year later.
It's because nobody got the combination for the safe house.
They're still there.
Still trying
Or
to get
if
in.
somebody has the combination, they would go there and hide. I don't know. Yeah, that was weird.
Next house, we're hacking in that.
Yeah.
Safe house.
So
Monitors in there. Machine guns.
no machine guns. So, what are you seeing like with real estate kind of coming down the pike? Any trends or anything you're seeing?
I think it's the same trend that everybody's seeing right now. The one thing I could probably say is maybe a trend would be a safe bet that interest rates will probably just go up from here.
Yep.
That's a safe bet. Of course, lack of inventory. Don't know how long that's going to last. Hopefully it starts changing after a lot of people get the vaccine and feel more comfortable. Again, because I think a lot of people just held off putting their homes on the market because of that in itself, especially last year. And now we're seeing the effects of that into this year. I don't know. What do you guys think? There's a lot of things I could say here, but I'm going to not go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to see that we're getting more listings on the market here. Like
That's good.
our admin teams are busy now processing listing paperwork and making sure listing videos. So having 3-4 new listings a week is seeming more normal. We have a ways to go to catch up with inventory, but it's seeming like it's being more like a spring market with people hopping on. So that's good.
That is good to hear because that is not the case in other places. Yeah.
Well, we'll take it here.
I would agree. I think the combination of all of them, like you mentioned, Natalie, the vaccine I think is making a difference. People knowing that it's here and and it's happening. Like you said too, the interest rates they just can't hardly get lower. And with the added inventory, I think the combination of those three, we are going to see. It's still going to be competitive, right? We're driving a cruise ship, not a race boat. So it's going to take some time, but I do think we are in a position where activity is going to continue to be strong across the entire market on both the buy side and the sell side.
So
Like that analogy?
Yes,
It's like the Love Boat.
I'm
you're the
like, so did
captain.
anybody else just like see the little marketing clip that
The
starts
Love
with doo doo,
Boat.
like a big horn by the cruise boat? Yeah.
I just think of those cruise ships that crash into docks.
No!
Bad analogy, Jacob.
Bad.
Who's the marketing guy?
Marketing guy is cut off.
That's just my visual. When I think of cruise ships, I think of that, and I think of where COVID started.
Two bad analogies. How about the Love Boat? Let's just picture the Love Boat.
Mute his mic. Mute his mic. No,
Luke,
just
you know what the
kidding.
Love Boat is?
I can take an educated guess, but I'm not familiar with. No, I can't
Jake?
say I do.
Love
It's a
Boat?
show.
Oh, it's not a boat.
With
It's a boat.
it's a show with Dolly Parton.
No, it's
Oh, really?
Stop it. You're
Just
confusing him. Don't get him started on Dolly Parton.
No, I watched. You sent me that link, the Dolly Parton link, and I watched her. I seen her before, so I knew technically who she was, but I couldn't put the face. To the name,
Best
so.
clip ever.
What do you think Natalie's thinking right now?
Yeah.
She's thinking, is this done yet?
Yeah, Natalie, you probably didn't see, but we had a podcast where Luke wasn't aware of who Dolly Parton was. So
We're gonna bring it up again.
no,
I'm
well,
Yeah. I mean, I do now, so that's what matters.
now he knows. He's been
Yes.
educated. It
And-
just happened to be that she had a
was
commercial
phenomenal.
in the Super Bowl like the next weekend, and we're like, see, she relevant.
So, Dolly, if you're watching this episode, I know who you are now.
Oh,
How old are you? How old are you?
10.
No, I'm
Close.
serious.
No,
I'm
I'm
just-
I'm 20. I'm 21, so I'm a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. We
There's-
can
there's
learn
an
a
age
lot
gap.
from you, I have a feeling.
I mean, I could tell you a lot. I don't know how much you'd learn. I am in school, but still, I
Tell you a lot. He's going to real estate school at UW-Madison.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, it's
Junior?
It's much more. Yeah, junior. It's much more. Well, they teach you very different things, and I guess I'd say I learned here, actually working in the industry, like with people, with clients. It's a lot of times it's not residential. They just talk about commercial properties, development, that kind of thing. So it's not really in the same realm as a residential area. But I mean, I like it. I'm not a big school guy in general, but I'm getting into the real estate classes, and it's just easier for me to engage with it. So no complaints. I'm learning stuff, but I'd say not as much as I'm learning getting the real world experience here with the team.
So he can teach us a lot of stuff.
We'll see. Ask me when the semester's over. I'll see if I have any useful
I'll ask
information
in,
for you.
I'll ask in a year and a semester. How about that?
I'll have
You'll be
forgotten.
done.
I'll have forgotten everything by then.
all right. Any other questions that we have for Natalie? Are we good? All right. I think we're good. Thank you so much for joining us, Natalie.
Yeah, thanks
thank
for
you.
having me. It was fun. You guys are a great group. You make me laugh.
I'm not sure if that's good or
That's
bad.
good. It means we're at least a little bit entertaining.
You're laughing with us, not at us. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think I'm laughing with you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I think.
Emphasis
You think?
on think.
Yeah. All right. Well, awesome. Well, I'll probably see you tomorrow.
Yeah. Should I jump off?
Yep. You can
Yeah, we're
hop
kicking
off.
you off.
Yep.
Do I exit now?
Yep. You can exit now. See
Bye.
you later.
See ya. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Natalie.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
All right.
Woo! Is it halftime?
No, not halftime.
It's exhausting.
All right. So, what do you want to talk about there, Mr. Matt?
These are Jacob's items.
Are you going to talk about my items?
Yeah, we're going to talk about your stuff.
Okay, cool. Well, I found recently some drama with Zillow. I thought I could throw it back at you. But apparently, according to all the news sources out there, Zillow is facing an antitrust suit over how they are showing homes on their platform. So, according to what I see here, real estate startup sued Zillow in federal court Tuesday over allegations that the popular real estate website violates antitrust law by deceptively steering customers to home listings from a subset of agents. I don't know if you guys got a chance to look into this, so I'll just read real fast here. Let me try to highlight. It's a long article, so see if I can find a quick note here. Zillow has recently expanded. No, that's not it. That's going into too much detail.
Just keep reading.
The change
Just have
by
you read to
Zillow
us.
and Trulia forces all non-NAR listings to have permanent low visibility, some guy said. This is the real estate web returning to its old vision of data segregation rather than data democratization for consumers. So basically, what it's looking like is that if you are not licensed by the NAR, your listing might not pop up as easily on Zillow. So that kind of sums up what's going on. Do you guys have any thoughts, or you want to clear up what I just said to make it sound more
Just to
intelligent?
that was a lot. I'm trying to get that. So Zillow's steering buyers towards listings from specific realtors.
I think it just sounds like the Zillow has their listings that come in from IDX feeds that we talked about earlier. And what it sounds like is that this company is an outside source that's not part of a MLS.
Mm-hmm.
So their listings are just internal maybe and just have their own.
But remember how we talked about how MLSs have so many rules? So since Zillow has hooked in and is doing all of the IDX feeds, they have to work with all of those rules. So in working with all of those rules, I believe there are like two different ways to look at property because you can't technically mix them with all of the MLS rules. So I think someone is just trying to push the envelope on it. But I mean, currently they're just trying to work within the construct of the MLS rules.
It almost sounds like they're not a broker that lists properties for sale. It almost seems like they're a marketing company.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that company, but I would assume that they are on that other category, which probably, I mean, it has the potential to give them less exposure, I suppose. But now Zillow technically is a member of our MLS, so they have to follow our MLS rules. So.
And the other company must not have any kind of IDX cooperation or agreement with the MLS in their market that would prohibit them from. I guess I don't know how many markets they're in. There might be more than one, but
yeah,
I'm sure.
I think they're bigger in some areas. They're just not big here.
So I think what it's touching on then is that since Zillow is now a broker, it's causing a little bit of muddy water. Before they were just a website, and so they should treat whether the house is for sale on an MLS or anywhere else, every house should be available for sale. But now that they have to follow these MLS guidelines and rules, it sounds like they have to be a little bit more constrictive, and maybe they can't show these non-MLS.
They have to show them in a
properties.
separate way, I think.
I think they show
That's
them,
what
like,
they're
I think they
saying.
still have for sale by owner, even after they have the IDX feed and join the MLSs, they might be a separate area for sale by owners. And that's what they're saying is that this company, whatever it is showing on a separate page or a different area versus the properties that are listed. And that goes back to the MLS rules. I'm sure that's part of it.
Right, and it's because they're tied into the MLS when they weren't before.
Yep.
And now that they're heading towards this, we got to be a brokerage, thing.
So it's like Zillow wants to have accurate information and accurate data, which is like what the IDX feed does for them and why they have to join the board. But then you start to have, I mean, nobody's always happy all the time. So you do one thing, you get your consumers the great information that they want, and now somebody else is calling antitrust. What do you do?
I just pulled up the information. It looks like the closest state is Illinois.
is it all that different too than say there's a reason why a for sale by owner isn't listed on our MLS?
Yeah, same
right?
idea.
Because they're choosing to use a different platform than they have the choice. Right? I don't feel like anybody's telling you have to do it this way or you have to do it that way. But if you do it way number one, here's the rules and guidelines you have to follow. If you want to do it, take route number 2, here's the guidelines you have to follow. So I mean, it's, I don't know what, I mean, I understand, kind of understand where they're coming from, but there's always, things are always changing and evolving. We just talked about, used to have the whole big book for your listings, and now everything's online. And at one point, all these agents thought, well, no, I'm going to be out of a job because they can just find on the internet. Well, that obviously hasn't been the case.
Right.
So you just have to be willing to bend and find different ways to make things work.
Be interesting to see what they come up with, if it's just how far this goes, the lawsuit.
Probably nowhere. This is probably it.
kind of-
I bet it's just
yeah.
it's just clickbait. It's
yeah.
clickbait.
I think we just
It worked.
I think we just
Yeah.
solved all the world's problems.
And
Yeah.
solved. Thank you. Call us anytime.
All of our properties are on the MLS, so
Thumbs
Can we get a
up.
screenshot of that one?
Yeah, we.
there's the thumbnail for you.
And two, coming from the consumer side, right? Would you rather not find all of the information that you want that's accurate and up to date in one location versus going to 8 different websites trying to compare this to that? It just seems like from a consumer side, we're trying to funnel everything so everybody can see all the information from less avenues or less channels.
Well, I'm talking about FSBOs, Matt. We were having the conversation earlier of the REX program, which is making it easier. Well, I suppose we were starting that conversation, but maybe you could talk a little bit more about how that's working too, because I wasn't really getting a full grasp.
Oh,
of
you're
that.
talking about showing time?
Well, the REX real estate.
That's that company we're talking about. That's the name of the company that's doing the lawsuit.
Okay, and then the showing time.
Yeah, where Zillow purchased showing time.
They just bought it outright, or how does that work?
Yeah.
'Cause who owns Showing Time originally? Like, how does that
Showing Time was
ownership structure work?
just a privately owned company, and it started because Stark actually used to have a showing line,
Yeah.
which was a bunch of employees from Stark that
Going
actually
way
took.
back, it used to be
Don't have to go back that far.
The secretaries that set up all the showings. So way back in the day, I used to set up all the showings, but it has since moved on.
I think
mean,
it's just speeding up everything. So it sped up the showings, sped up the confirmations, sped up everything. So you went from these books, which are archaic, then you went to fax machines and became email and then become the internet. So all of it kind of is developed and sped up. So now when you have showing time, what happens is if Jake wants to show Luke's house, he calls up the showing line.
doesn't even call up. He clicks a button.
That's true. Or you can call.
Yeah.
So clicks a button, says, I want to show the house. Luke's end of it calls the seller. Seller says yes or no.
The seller goes to their app and says, yep, or do
Or
it
goes to
another
their app, yes.
time. I mean, it's super convenient, crazy convenient now.
So now what I think Zillow is just wanting to do is just make that streamlined. So if you're on Zillow, you can click, I want to see this home this time, which would then tie into showing time and then set up the showing and work that way.
So would that let like buyers schedule their own showings then? Like
They
as
could.
opposed to
I
going
think-
through a
Yeah.
realtor, they'd just be able to go on Zillow, schedule a showing straight from their website, and they would maybe pair them with the realtor at that predetermined
Yep.
time.
I think I don't know what it's actually going to look like, but I imagine that that's more of like you're on the phone with a Zillow call, and while you're on the call, the showing can attempt to be set up for the time the buyer's requesting the showing for, and then you can confirm right there while you're on the phone with them whether or not it's available and when you can see it.
Yeah, I mean, Zillow's whole goal is to delight the consumer and make the whole process very streamlined and easy. Because right now there's lots of little caveats that can derail the process. So the smoother they can make the whole process, I mean, that's their goal and their guiding light. So
North Star.
North Star.
And I think people are jumping to conclusions too. Right? Everywhere you go, somebody will want to complain about this or complain about that, and Zillow's going to take over, just like we're talking about that book again. Zillow's going to take over, and all of us are going to be out of jobs. I feel like we're jumping to conclusions like you had said, Matt. We don't have all of the information yet. All of this is speculation. So everybody wants to jump to the worst case scenario. And until we really kind of know and understand it, I don't think it's fair to be making all these assumptions. So I think it is going in a good direction. It's going to streamline the process. It's not going to cut out agents, but it's ever evolving. Something different is always on the horizon. So you just got to be willing to adapt accordingly and move forward.
Pivot.
Pivot.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yes.
Are we
Do you
pivoting?
think there's a possibility for technology to 100% replace the need for a real estate agent?
I think the hardest thing is just the human interaction. I think is a big part of it. I mean, there's other stuff that we probably can't talk about under Zillow's do not talk about signing, but at some point there may be, something more technology.
Well, there are already companies in different markets where you can just kind of show up, and I think there's like robots that can help, but there's always people
Like from the Jetsons?
not from the Jetsons, but
Dun.
I mean, I believe there's like a robot that can be in the house and like kind of show people around. I don't remember if that was coming or if that's something that's happening. But I mean, there are locks even for property management companies that are set up so that they're easy to change, so that you can give a code and a prospective tenant can just go look at it. Is that going to replace realtors, or is that just going to make it easier for the consumers to get in, look at the property? What if you have cameras all around so they can't steal anything, they can't do anything? You have Rosie the robot making sure, ready to grab them if they take something.
Oh, jeez.
That would be
I think
scary.
there is some.
But I mean, there still needs some kind of, there's going to be some people that they'll be like, I got this myself, like there is now, like for sale by owners, but there's other people that are like, I don't do this every day. I need to have somebody who knows what the heck they're doing.
Yeah. As far as the technology advances, I think it'd be very difficult to cut out the personal aspect of the relationship between the realtor and the buyer or the seller, because, how are you going to ask a computer for advice on how to sell your home? I guess you could
Press
do
one,
algorithms,
Luke.
but
And I think
it'd be very, go ahead.
even as Jen mentioned it, like letting yourself into a listing, the issue then becomes how, as a buyer's agent, do you represent that buyer without seeing the house in person?
Well,
So
what if you can tour through it and you've seen
I
a
think there's-
3D tour? And
I think that's
don't know.
different, though. I think there's more to just seeing the cosmetic stuff versus.
But the relationship between the buyer and the realtor, the seller and the realtor, I think that's what's going to be difficult that's going to stay, because that's necessary.
Look at from a contract writing standpoint, all the different language we put in. How do you expect somebody to either be told by a robot or to read online the appraisal contingencies, the home inspection contingencies, the deadlines? We deal with appraisals not appraising out. We deal with deadlines getting pushed. I just think there's a lot of that back end stuff that can't be solved with the click of a button, and you can't expect your consumer to completely understand what they're reading. Because, we've all experienced, sometimes it takes 3 or 4 different ways for somebody you're talking to understand it. It has to be a specific scenario or a whatever it might be, but you have to, not everybody's going to be able to read it on a sheet of paper and go, oh yeah, I get it. And so just from the contract side of things too, I think I could happen, sure, but
We just have to add the robot disclosure to the addendum.
Let me take you down like a deep rabbit hole here. Sorry, we're getting derailed.
Way too many
We're not
rabbit holes.
getting derailed. I think this is a legitimate thing. But like, why does the process of buying a home have to be so freaking complicated?
That's what Zillow's trying to fix.
Like, what Jake was just saying with like, all these contingencies and home warranties, there's just so many things you have to know in order to buy a house competently that it's overwhelming. Like, Tesla figured out how to sell you a car. It used to be you couldn't get a car unless you went to a dealership. Now you can order one online. Like, why are we going to get to a point where houses can just be that simple of a transaction?
Well, there's a lot of things that can go wrong when you're dealing with an asset as expensive as a house, I think. And I mean, it would be difficult to, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'll let someone else take the reins while I'm thinking about it. I had a point though I was going to make.
There's a new startup that's supposed to help all that too, and maybe we can get them on the podcast. But they're supposed to help with that whole thing, everything from looking at mortgages to closing. And Zillow's working on the same thing. It's one big package, and the whole transaction runs through.
There's a lot of people, I think partly where Luke was going was there's a lot of people that with an investment as big as a home, they want to know and understand what they're getting themselves into, and they don't want to feel taken advantage of. And they want, I think, to have somebody that's on their side that is going to back them up and walk them through that process so they don't get themselves in a tough spot where they've just now spent all this money and something came up where, oh, by the way, you didn't actually buy the house. And now you put your hands up and you don't know what to do. So I think having that representation is important.
And back, like to Jacob's point, I mean, the process is very complicated and complex, but I think it's developed that way to protect, the parties in the transaction, the buyers and the sellers who are engaging. I mean, that's the whole goal of it, is to make sure everything is as fair and equal as possible. But I mean, with the technology, like we were just talking about, we might see it more integrated to where it becomes easier, but they still get that same protection.
If we think about how far we've come with even digital signatures, I mean, really, you could do the transaction, the paperwork, the closing you could have digitally and virtually at some point, I'm sure. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens.
I just think about going back to Tesla. You want to get a Cybertruck, you're going to drop $70,000. That's for some people that's like half the price of their home. Well, I don't
Not anymore.
Nobody buying a $140,000 house should have a $70,000 Cybertruck. But
Thank you.
but I'm just saying that's a huge purchase too. But it seems to be as easy as clicking a button on a website. I mean, it used to be more complicated. I think. I don't know. Maybe cars are just super easy, and houses just will forever be complicated because there's such a unique, they're not necessarily so mass produced as everything's the exact same. I suppose every house is different. Maybe I'm answering my own question here. Maybe that's the answer. It's like every house is different, but not every car is the same, but not every house is the same.
Well, real property and personal property and real property, as far as the legal aspect goes, they're very different. So that there's something to be said about that as far as the process being more complicated for real estate. It's a different type of property, so there are different rights associated with it. So I think it requires more protection in that, if that makes sense.
I'm getting schooled right now.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Mr. College.
Direct out of a book.
Well, I learned that at my at the real estate
orientation.
The 72-hour program.
Oh, yeah.
They taught us. So,
but I think that's true. I think the only thing I could see slowing down the whole process being in technology would actually be the recording of the docs and the deed and that kind of thing. But at some point, I'm sure you may have a digital recording process versus mailing it in and get a copy back.
I just want a button.
Well,
House.
I think Luke made a great point. The whole time he's over there dropping knowledge bombs, I'm over here going,
what day is it today?
well, that too.
What's for dinner?
But we have people out there, and this is an older reference, but we have people out there eating Tide Pods and putting Gorilla Glue in their hair. So there are some people that they want and appreciate that personal representation.
These are the people that just need a button, okay? House.
No.
House.
They'll be glued to their house.
They'll eat the button.
So I appreciate how much more meaningful and impactful Luke's statement was than my dumb brain going over here. Oh, Tide Pods, Tide Pods, Tide Pods.
Did you make you hungry? You think what's for dinner tonight?
Click and buy.
Jake Newhouse.
Click and ship.
Tide
Click and
Pods.
ship.
Click and ship.
As long as it doesn't touch the ground, I mean, it's you can do it, right? I don't know.
Check out my website,
Work on that.
jake.hometown. Not after that comment, right?
Free Tide Pods included with every sale.
Yeah. Just have a little bowl of them.
Keeping it clean. Jake.
Keeping it clean.
Marketing.
Keeping it something.
You're welcome.
I don't know why I volunteer for these things.
We love you.
You do make it fun.
I do bring it on myself.
You dropped some good analogies. You had the one about the cruise ships till I ruined it.
Yeah, the
That
one.
that was smart.
Yeah, we're gonna cut Jacob out of it. We're like, cut.
Yeah, I don't know what's gotten into me today. I tried to not be in these podcasts. So I'm gonna now exit out. Oh, you know what it was? Matt brought me in because he's like, because you wanted me to share the article that I wanted you guys to share.
Yeah.
Your
As
fault.
if it was my idea.
We like when you come visit with us.
I don't.
Okay. He's like, and edit myself.
Bye.
out, And I'm out.
Did you have something else we wanted to talk about, or are we just done?
Okay, I guess I'm
We
back.
were going to talk about that house that has all the tropical theme and all, maybe put some of those pictures up. Can we do that?
Can we do that?
This is a fun topic
Yeah?
because I think you can go a lot of different ways with this. And I think this is what I struggle with a little bit, still being a real estate agent, is it's so easy for me to go into a house and go, oh my God, what is that? And while I'm thinking that, my buyer's going, oh my God, this is amazing. I love this. So the pictures we're going to put up here, I think, are a perfect example of some people it may not be their jam, but there's a buyer for every house out there, and you don't know if that is your buyer. So I think this is a really good example of this is a very specific property, but there's someone who is going to absolutely fall in love with this place.
Please. That's not the one.
Somebody want to drop.
There it is.
Yeah. So this house is a tropical themed home in New Berlin, Wisconsin, for a cool
There's a koi pond.
1.75 million.
It's like we need
Where's the pond? Can we
Let me
see
see.
pool or pond?
relax music.
Scroll through some pictures here.
A ukulele?
Custom
That
made
seem right?
benches.
Some of the furniture better come with the house. Like,
Let's say, are the plants included? Because I mean, you take the plants out of
Yeah.
the place, and I mean,
Better of a green
it'll
thumb
look
Luke.
different. Yeah.
There's a lot of dead plants.
straight out of Jumanji.
Right?
Stop,
So that's
stop.
So marketing guy, how do you market that?
Go down. Can you scroll down a little bit so I can read the top paragraph?
I would say somebody
other way.
rolled a 5 or an 8.
The other way.
the other top.
The other top. All right, stop.
Mock cave represent.
It says, in one room, a mock cave painting rests above the bed. More statues, fossils, and bones are also placed throughout the same room.
It's pretty sweet.
So if you're looking to live in, that's a man cave right there.
Yep.
Yeah, or just a cave.
How much?
Hot on the market.
Wow.
1.75 million.
How many square feet does it say anywhere?
It better be really big. Just saying.
It doesn't say, does it? Maybe we could find it on
says-
Zillow.
It says something. You want me to look it up?
Yeah.
It's on 17 acres. There it is.
Oh,
5
17 acres.
5,200 square feet. 17 acres, 6 bed, 6 bath.
Fenced off property. The lake is about.
I believe it had an
3.5.
indoor pool too.
There's a lake. The lake is about 3.5 acres with plenty of fish inside.
Yeah.
Private long driveway.
2 pools if you count the koi pond.
Pool in the
All
pond.
right.
Pond big enough
Right.
for you.
I'm gonna cut back to you guys, and then I'll go on Zillow and see if I can find the actual listing.
All right. How do we market that? Yeah.
I mean, well, this person that is actually the agent did a great job because they just reached out to the press. it was such an interesting listing. They got some free PR, and now it's newsworthy. Just a site like that or a house like that existing. I think if you have something that unique, I think you can just kind of put it out there, and people are it's gonna turn some heads. I don't think you have to do too much for something.
I have some really bad, like, Hawaii kind of things that would be good for marketing, but I'm not going to say it on the podcast. It involves Hawaii. They have the flowers around the neck, and they are called
Lays.
Yeah, okay. So just figure
Yeah,
that.
stop. You
Yeah,
just stop
and
there.
then grass skirts.
I think you're right, Jacob. I think you. Well, no, and I
Pivot.
like as
Pivot.
Jen was saying that just the other day we were talking about if a house isn't priced right,
Ooh, it's got
staged right, or marketed right.
Can you click on each picture and then it'll blow it up?
Is that how this site works?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Look at that.
Oh, thanks.
It's got a Buddha.
It does.
Is that where the pond is?
I
Is it
don't
around the
know.
Buddha? Next picture.
God, I'm not quite sure what we're looking at here.
Is that
Is
a
this
water?
I think it's stairs.
That's stairs. Okay.
This is a podcast, so we should probably illustrate what we're seeing here. We're looking at stairs right now that are made of like
we
rocks.
think are stairs.
I'm gonna find the koi pond.
Let me look for the
Matt
pond.
really likes koi ponds.
Well, it's indoor.
Indoor koi pond.
We're looking at bear
pond.
rugs. Okay, there's
There's the lake.
There's the lake. Get your own private lake. There's probably some
Oh man.
Oh, yeah, it's big. Yeah.
fish in there.
They made it blue looking too.
It's the color of it. It's reflecting of the sky. What is the truck? What's the deal with that?
Matt,
Looks like an old army truck.
it's included.
It's some old army truck. It's just
Yeah.
sitting in the yard.
That's how you maintain the acreage.
This should just be an Airbnb.
Yeah.
Like nobody should live.
There's a koi
There
pond.
you go.
Found it.
There's how you-
go bottom.
There's how you market it.
Bottom left. Your other left.
You can't live here.
There. Look at that.
Yeah, this is like the ultimate Airbnb getaway.
I'd buy it just for that.
Like, is your wife mad at you? Stay here.
In the
koi
jungle,
pond.
you must wait.
Welcome to the jungle. That should have been the
To
tagline.
the jungle. That's a great take.
There you go. Matt, you should get into marketing. I'll do spreadsheets.
We
Make your
might be
job
in
safe.
trouble.
I'm gonna go update my resume.
Yeah, going down.
I know how to use some of those formulas.
We're not talking about you.
Oh, good. Oh, I was like, yeah, I could do
Wait a minute.
spreadsheets.
What? And okay.
Matt's exceptionally good at spreadsheets.
And Mark, he had a good line.
Yeah, he has some like
Welcome to the jungle would be perfect for this. That's exactly how it should start off. In fact, if it
What does it
doesn't-
say?
But I do like my spreadsheets.
Spreadsheet.
you know, if
All right,
only they
Dave
would give
Starr.
us carte blanche in this, we could get Matt with his like guitar case, walking in with his boots to the front
talking
door. The Welcome to the Jungle video.
We're marketing.
How did I get
Yeah.
involved in it?
You play guitar?
No.
He will.
Oh,
Not
I was
yet.
gonna say, why haven't we had a live performance?
He doesn't, but he could hold a guitar case and walk
All right.
in, and then
Okay.
the
What's
music
next?
could start.
What's the tagline?
Well,
Matt in the jungle.
No. Terrible idea. That's why we have a marketing guy.
All right, so I'll read the description of this property. It says this 6-bed, 6-bath waterfront private lake home has, that's a semicolon, an indoor swimming pool, an amazing atrium with indoor koi ponds, plural, fountains, plural, and horticulture dome features, floor-to-ceiling windows, all on a 17-acre, fully secured fence and gated of natural hiking paths and woods.
Welcome
You're-
to the jungle.
Your spring-fed stocked lake is 3.5 acres of pure Wisconsin lake life, all only yours. Home is built to be extremely energy efficient, an ultra-modern party pad, ecology center, next level Airbnb,
Oh, they
there
did
you
mention
go,
it.
or wellness retreat center. Sky's the
Yeah.
limit.
Price is?
Land a helicopter.
What? It doesn't say that, does
Build
it?
more homes. It does. solar, geothermal,
Yep.
and passive solar combined to make 5,000 plus square feet to have small bills and footprint. 20 minutes to downtown Milwaukee and airport. Restored Humvee included with
That's
full
what it is.
price offer. Bring your friends to the party. Horses, peacocks allowed.
It really says peacocks.
It literally says peacocks allowed. It's the last thing it says.
All four,
175.
That's it. Could be yours, Matt.
Less than 2 million.
Could have a team retreat. Everybody kicking.
Everybody,
Great
few hundred
Airbnb
thousand.
property.
Huh?
Negotiate the price down, turn it into an Airbnb property.
it's a BYOP. Bring your own peacock. Okay, I'm done.
All right, we're done. Yep.
All right.
Thanks for joining us. Peace out.
Yeah, that was a mic drop, but for real.
Speaking of mic drops, I did not drop my mic this time.
You didn't touch it.
Well,
Congratulations.
I was very diligent about not touching it too much, so.
We are way over line. Are we good? We good?
Yes, we're good.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of It's Gonna Be Great. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate in South Central Wisconsin, you know who to call. Home Team for you. Home Team, the number 4, the letter U.com. All right. Until next time. Bye.
Oh, God, that got out of control.